They say silence is powerful, but ask the right question, and a woman will feel seen in a way no compliment ever could. Because here's the truth most men will never understand. Attraction isn't about trying to impress. It's about inviting her to unfold, to reveal, to relax, not by chasing, not by flexing, but by leading the conversation with depth, curiosity, and unshakable presence. In a world full of shallow talkers, the man who asks with intention becomes unforgettable. These are the 6 questions that do exactly that, and they're backed by stoic insight, psychological triggers, and the magnetic calm that only the rarest men possess. Let's begin. Before we dive into the first question, you need to understand something that most dating advice leaves out. You don't need to be the best looking guy in the room. You don't need to be rich, famous, or the loudest. You need to be intentional. You need to carry yourself like a man who doesn't need anything from a woman, yet still chooses to understand her on a level that no one else dares to explore. That's the foundation of stoic attraction, not manipulation, not performance, but clarity, calm, and control. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your inner world is disciplined, grounded, and curious, not desperate, not reactive, she feels that it's not about your words, it's about your frame, your energy. And the fastest way to shape that energy into something unforgettable, ask questions that pull her out of autopilot and into emotional connection. Because here's what no one tells you. Most women are surrounded by men who only talk about themselves. But when a man comes along and asks the right question, not just to talk, but to see her, it wakes something up in her. That's what we're doing here. Not pickup lines, not tricks, but timeless questions that stir emotion, uncover truth, and make her feel safe, curious, and connected all at once. Let's begin with the first question. 1. What's something most people misunderstand about you? Why it works? Because it does something 99% of men never even attempt. It breaks past her social persona and taps into the part of her that feels unseen. Most people, especially beautiful women, have been misunderstood their entire lives. They've been judged, labeled, and placed into boxes. So when you ask this question with calm curiosity and no judgment, you give her a rare chance to drop the performance. And that creates emotional safety, the foundation of female attraction. The psychology behind this question opens the gate to emotional vulnerability. Psychologists call this selective self-disclosure. When someone shares something personal, they feel more bonded to the person they shared it with. It's called the self-reference effect, the idea that we emotionally attach to those who understand our private selves. So when she tells you, "People always think I'm confident, but I actually have intense anxiety when I'm alone," or "They think I'm intimidating, but I'm really soft-hearted when I let someone in," you're not just learning facts. You're being invited into her emotional landscape. And here's where stoicism comes in. You don't react with over-the-top empathy. You don't say, "Oh no, really? That's crazy." You say, "That makes sense. I've seen that in people who carry a lot of quiet strength." Our So you're someone who keeps the best parts of yourself hidden until someone earns it. That's what a stoic man does. He sees, he listens, and he responds with clarity, not emotion. You become the first man who truly sees her for who she is beneath the noise. And that is power. Real life scenario, you're on a casual date. Coffee, maybe a walk, like conversation. She's talking about her job or how everyone assumes she's extroverted. And you calmly say, "What's something people always get wrong about you?" She pauses. She tilts her head. You've interrupted the pattern. She's no longer just answering questions, she's searching her own soul. She says, "They think I'm this confident girl who has it all together. But honestly, I overthink everything." Don't rush and hold the silence. Let her sit in that truth. Then say something like, "You carry yourself with strength. It makes sense that people wouldn't see the other side unless they look deeper." Boom, she feels seen, validated, and safe without you being overly emotional or trying to fix anything. That's stoic charm. It's the art of depth without drama. Stoic reflection Epictetus wrote, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." That's not just good life advice, it's the key to magnetic attraction. Because while most men are trying to show off, the stoic man knows women are more attracted to how you make them feel about themselves than how much you talk about yourself. This first question opens the door to everything else. You're not interrogating, you're revealing. You're not trying to impress, you're inviting her to be known. And in a world full of surface-level men, the one who makes her feel deeply understood becomes unforgettable. Optional follow-up questions. Want to take this deeper? Try one of these follow-ups after she answers. Why do you think people see you that way? Have you ever wished someone saw the real you sooner? When do you feel most like yourself? Each one peels back another layer of she's comfortable. Remember, you're not prying, you're inviting. And when a woman feels safe enough to go there with you, she begins to bond emotionally, psychologically, subconsciously. Inner shift for years where you must evolve. Stop thinking of conversations as games to win. Start seeing them as containers to explore truth. The first question isn't about getting her to like you. It's about guiding her into emotional honesty and being the kind of man who can hold that space without flinching. Because when you can do that, she doesn't just feel attraction. She feels resonance. And once a woman resonates with a man's energy, she chases it. Not for your looks, not for your charm, but for the way you made her feel safe, seen, and free to be real. Most men say, "So, what do you do?" as if a job title tells you who a woman is. But a stoic man asks something different. He asks, "What's lighting you up these days?" Because he's not chasing her resume. He's trying to feel her energy. This question does something subtle but powerful. It opens the door to her feminine essence. Let me explain. Feminine polarity and emotional energy. Women aren't just attracted to looks or lifestyle, they're drawn to how they feel in your presence. Feminine energy is emotional, creative, intuitive, and spontaneous. So when you ask her about what lights her up, what's exciting her, what makes her come alive lately, you're inviting her to drop into her natural emotional flow. You're not analyzing her. You're not leading with cold logic. you're inviting her to feel and express. That's the magnetic polarity between masculine and feminine. The masculine is steady, present, calm. The feminine is emotional, expressive, ever-changing. When she feels safe to express in your presence without being judged, interrupted, or selfed, she begins to feel a connection to you that most men will never create. And all of that begins with a simple, disarming question. So what's been lighting you up lately? Psychological breakdown. Emotion creates memory. People don't remember what you said. They remember how they felt when you said it. This question triggers positive emotional recall. She searches her mind for something that excites her. She talks about it. She feels it all over again. And now that emotion is anchored to you. This is called emotional state transfer. She feels good because of what she's talking about, but her brain associates that feeling with the person she's with. That's you, not because you're flashy, but because you made space for her joy. And that's rare. How most men fail her. The average guy will ask surface-level questions and respond with one of 3 mistakes. They compare, oh, yeah, that's cool, I do something similar. They correct, that's interesting. But here's what I think. They compete. Well, I've been working on something even more exciting. But the stoic man, he doesn't compete, compare, or control. He leads with stillness and responds with presence. The stoic frame. Calm curiositires how a grounded man answers her joy. She says, I just started learning photography. I love how it makes me notice beauty I never saw before. You reply, that's powerful. It's crazy how a lens can change the way we see the world and ourselves. You're not pretending to be interested. You're showing her that what excites her matters to you. And that makes her feel emotionally validated without losing your frame. This is where attraction is born, not in the words, but in the way you hold space. Real life scenario, from dead conversation to instant spark. You're at a lounge. You're talking to a woman who seems polite but distracted. You ask, so, what's lighting you up these days? She pauses, catches her breath. Suddenly, she opens up about something real. Honestly, I've been writing poetry again. I haven't done it since college, but I forgot how alive it makes me feel. You look her in the eye, not with a grin, not with pressure, just calm. And you say, sounds like you're connecting with something that was always inside you. Double quotes, boom. Now she's not just attracted. She's drawn to the man who saw through her mask and touched her joy. Stoic wisdom in action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them. That's what you're inviting her to do when you ask this question. To reconnect with beauty, with excitement, with life. But here's the secret. When she does that in your presence, she subconsciously ties that beauty to you. Not because you told her what to feel, but because you invited her to feel. And that's rare. That's power. That's stoicism with emotional intelligence. Bonus insight. Why this creates long-term attraction. Long-term connection isn't built on facts or shared interests. It's built on shared emotional states. When a woman feels joy, excitement, taspins your presence, she doesn't just like you. She remembers you. You become the container where she feels most alive. That's why this question works so well. It's not about the topic. It's about the emotional energy it activates and how well you can hold that energy without trying to control it. Best follow-up questions to go deeper after she answers what's lighting you up these days. Try these follow-ups. What pulled you into that? Do you feel more like yourself when you're doing that? What does that give you that nothing else does? These are nonlinear questions. They don't have right answers. They invite feeling, they invite flow, and women crave that kind of communication from a grounded man. Your inner work, if you want this question to work for you, you need to become the kind of man who's lit up himself, not for validation, not for image, but because you love your own life. Women don't fall for a man who's perfect. They fall for the man who is alive. So ask yourself, what's lighting me up these days? If the answer is nothing, start there. Find something, pursue it, create it, because when you become emotionally rich, you don't need lines, you don't need tricks. Your presence will do the talking, and your questions will open her like sunlight opens a flower. And now we have to sum up and see you announced tomorrow. We will meet in next one. And subscribe to my channel Guide the Stoic.